we hear? You heard my call. You're imbalanced, Swampy.
How would it Swampy looking for stuff? It calls to you.
Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to episode 10. They said it couldn't be done, but it's been done. That's right, we've made it. We're here at last. Episode 10. Just before the introductions, as always, I'd just like to thank absolutely everybody for all their help and support. Thank you, guys and girls, the listeners. Without yous, obviously this show wouldn't have gone ahead and we wouldn't keep producing the content that we do. So again, thank you to all the listeners on behalf of myself, Jimmy and Taylor.
Our explorers.
Yeah, all the explorers are on board now. Okay, so as always then, we've got our Rancor teamer, Taylor herself.
Yes,
As
I'm alive.
always,
I'm here.
all the way from Kansas, we've got the Jedi Master himself, back from his holiday, Jimmy.
Yes,
Yeah.
1 week
Yeah.
and I'm going on another holiday, so
Oh,
boy.
life is so hard. Oh.
it is hard. I gotta
How's
drive
your week?
22 hours.
Oh, you get to drive it with your wife. So you
That's
should
true.
love it.
How was the drive?
Oh, this wasn't bad. This was only 8 hours, or like 7 hour drive, and then we'll head up. We'll get the dogs loaded up. We'll take the dogs this time, and this trip will be between 19 and 21 hours.
Jeez.
And then we'll cross over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 different states depending on the way we go. But yeah, it'll be fun. The dogs travel well. I'm excited to see my family. I don't get to see them but once or twice a year, usually once a year. So I'm excited for that.
20 odd hours driving. You could probably go to the top of the UK and back twice.
Yeah. That would just take me over to Alberta.
Jeez. How's your week been, Taylor?
It's been pretty good. It's been a really, really hot week. And I work outside. So when I was doing a lot of gardening, it was just very, very hot.
Yeah.
Sunburnt. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, not too bad. Got a bit of news that I might be going to Belize in October. I'm going to the Grand Canyon, obviously, in September. So I don't know yet if I'll be part of the podcast for those 2 months or at least a few weeks. So yourself and Jibby will be running with the show.
It'll just be away seeking for a little bit and then back. It'll
That's
be fine.
it, yeah. But I finally finished Battle of Jeddah as well.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Oh my
loved
gosh.
it.
How good is it? How good is it?
Yeah, loved it. I like all the little tie-ins.
Yeah, it's all of the books so far, and they're just like, you're like, oh, this character and this character. Oh, it's just, I don't know. I'm loving it. Loving it so much.
Nice. So before we get into the show then, okay, let's dive into this week's Force Encounter.
Well, Jack, what's your first, Force Encounter? Wow, we're having tongue-tied day today.
We are. We're having a rough day. Episode 10 is the rough one at the minute. Force Encounter-wise, I don't really think I've got anything. I've just been quite busy with work as normal. I went home at the weekend. I missed out on London Film Comic Con because I was supposed to go down there, but obviously with the news I've got to try and maximise my time with family, especially my daughter, because she gets really bad when I'm away for too long. So yeah, what about you, Jimmy?
Being on vacation, I got to some reading done. I finished, Quest for Planet X we talked about last week. I did start Shadow of the Sith. That is
Nice.
slow going. It's kind of cool. But mostly vacation and Tour de France, man. I'm a big tour guy. Love it.
Nice.
One of my bucket list things will be to get over there and see a stage or two. So yeah, that's been my week.
Awesome.
Taylor?
Well, this week I got a little note in my locker from a few of my coworkers saying, like working with you, we do, and a little picture of Grogu and stuff on it. So I posted on our socials, made me feel good that everyone knows me so well. And I mean, I guess my best like Force encounter this week was probably like using my my luring hand to use the sensor on the turnstiles at my work and open the gates like I was using the Force for a couple of kids wearing Star Wars shirts, and they were just like, "Oh yeah!" And it felt good.
Nice.
Yeah.
I always do that with the automatic doors as well, in shops and that all the time.
Yeah.
Even,
Well,
even with the traffic lights.
Yeah, well, like, yeah, right. Well, every once in a while, I'll see somebody coming into the zoo wearing like a Star Wars shirt or like a Star Wars hat, and I'm like, "You will take my card," and then I give them one of our Explore the Force cards,
Nice.
and then they
Great
usually
news.
ask about it. So it's like, yeah, and then I'm chatting about something that's not zoo related. So yeah, that was my week.
All right. Well, sounds like we had some good Force encounters. I'm sure we'll have more. I'm headed home and my nephew Hank is like, I've been studying because he'll hit me with questions that I'm not ready for, and he'll destroy me if I get the answers wrong. So I'll be studying up the rest of this week. I'm excited to hear about Force encounters and talking to you guys about what he
Nice.
puts me through. But
Hank the
anyway, let's
Tank.
go ahead. Yep. And okay, so let's head over to see what news is coming out of Batu this week.
So, news this week. First off, Mark Hamill himself was on CBA Sunday and was asked about it returning to a certain franchise, in which he said, "I've had my time and that's good." But he can't say if he's actually returning or not. He also said, "Well, you never say never. I just don't see any reason to. Let me put it this way. I mean, they have so many stories to tell. They don't need Luke anymore." So, but we also
Double
know he's
bluff.
going to be, but don't we know he's going to be in the new Rey series? So, I mean, he is an actor. He's paid to lie to us. So,
What do you reckon,
right.
Jimmy?
Everything that you're hearing, this is Kathleen and them's chance to move away from the Skywalkers. Maybe we see him in one of the episodes. I don't know. I mean, coming to a point where he is going to be done. I don't want that to ever happen. But, I don't know. I think it's a 50-50 split. I wouldn't be shocked if he shows up as a Force ghost. So, but
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's hard to know.
I think he'll be there. I didn't expect Yoda in The Last Jedi. Everyone expected
Oh,
Yoda's
no.
done.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that was awesome.
And he'll still have an appearance, I think, in this one. Also, long have we waited. We finally found out that Burryaga has survived the fall of Starlight Beacon. Big news, massive news. It was revealed that Burry's story is going to continue in the new anthology Tales of Light Life, which is going to be first to market at the San Diego Comic-Con, July 20th. So all the Burry fans out there will be absolutely over the moon. Happy days. Burry lives.
Burry lives.
Yeah. Very excited news. I watched that. I don't always watch the Tales of the High Republic show or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But man, it said something about Burry on there, so I was on it. I'm kind of surprised that they released this.
Yeah, I was a bit shocked.
This is a big, question mark. It's a fan favorite of Phase 1. Doesn't have a ton to do in the books, but the stuff he does do, a Wookiee Jedi, it's pretty awesome. I think the closest we've seen is the Padawan in Clone Wars, right?
Yeah.
I believe. But yeah, I was really, really surprised that they dropped this news, given what we'll talk about next. So, and then Taylor's like, who the hell's Burry? You'll find out.
I've known that people are like, oh, did he live? Like, I don't even know what the context was, but apparently, I'm assuming this is my assumption of it. He was on the beacon when it had its tragedy, right? So everyone's like, did he get off or not? That's kind of how I take it. But I haven't.
No spoilers here, Taylor. You'll just have to read it.
Those are my thoughts in my brain. So yes, I will get there because I'm almost on Planet X, and then I'm just going to go right to Phase 1.
Perfect. Speaking of Phase 3 stuff, they released the cover for the newest book, and it has I don't know how people pronounce it. Marchion Row. I've heard it because if you listen to the audiobooks, it's Marchion Row. And I've
Yeah.
heard people say Marchion Row, one of those AT or AT discussions that we have. But
Yeah.
it looks like he's been in the gym over the last year, hitting the weights. That dude looks jacked. Not
Getting
really,
big.
not the you read the descriptions in the first book and they're describing him. I see how this scrawny little teenage boy almost, and then he
Yeah.
looks like a man who's ready to just dominate. So I was like, all right, man, let's go.
It looks quite
Here we
relaxed for saying
go.
the whole galaxy's after him as well.
Yeah, he does not seem like he cares at all. He's not sweating anything. So bigger the ego, the bigger the fall, I guess.
Wait,
Yeah.
his last name is Rowe? Is
Yeah.
he related to Marta and like Yana Rowe?
Don't know, Taylor. You're gonna have to read through phase
Oh,
one.
sure.
So
Okay. God,
I've read phase one. I don't even know the answer. I'm trying to think.
You guys are terrible faces.
Well, I will tell you that they have not. Okay, so when you finish phase two, obviously you have two Everennies. Is that how we say it? Everenni?
Yeah, Everenni.
Everennies. Both of the last name Rowe.
That's true.
One of them has something. One of them goes this way. Like, I'm not going to say any more than that, but this is also 150 years. I don't know what their lifespan is. I don't know.
Yeah, good point.
I'm
right,
assuming
they're not, like,
with
human,
all.
or...
Yeah, I'm assuming, but who knows? I mean, I think I have a theory, but I don't want to get into it till we talk to Johnny at the end of the month. So
yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm excited.
All right. More big news. Taylor, you got a lot of reading to do. More big news. And I think this came on yesterday, I think.
Yesterday, mate, yeah.
I saw it on Facebook and I was like, I immediately went and started looking for it. They have released the first Lego from the Ahsoka series, and bam, it is a new Ghost. It looks like it's a bit smaller. I don't know. I mean, if you guys have the first one's pretty big. I've got that. But this one looks great. And it has some new characters on there. We've got First Officer Hawkins, who's a human, Lieutenant Beta, Amon Calamari. We've got Chopper, Hera, and we've got a little boy. Doesn't have green hair, but on the thing it does say that it's Jason Sandula.
Yeah,
so make an appearance. The cat.
I would assume he's back. I mean, I am stunned. I think the three of us, we talked about it at one point. I know, we all will listen to other podcasts and listen to other Star Wars, and most people are like, "No, there's no way.
Yeah.
I don't know why we put anything past Dave Filoni. Like if he can bring him in, but so. That's pretty huge. That means that we've seen just about everybody now except for Ezra. He's the only one. He's the only character we haven't seen because we got Zeb in Mando season 3. We've have clips of Ahsoka. Obviously, we have lots of stuff on Ahsoka, but we have Sabine, we have Hera, we've got Chopper, and
we got
seen the back of Thrawn. Yeah. We've the back of Thrawn. There's some new thing I saw just before we got on air that Thrawn's going to be the hero, not the villain. But we'll get into that because if you've read his books, well, I don't want to get into it. That's too much. But if you've read the books,
3 hours later,
yes, he's not a bad dude. Like a lot of stuff. Okay, a lot of stuff he does is just for research for his people. The Chiss are very curious people, very intelligent people, and so I got the wheels in my head spinning. That wow, what if he isn't the big bad? So, that would be bonkers. But anyway,
he wasn't really bad in like Outbound Flight. That's like really the only like Legends one that I've read. He wasn't bad per se. He was good in it.
So yeah, I don't know. You'll have to all the new stuff that he's in. So
I know,
but what do you got? Oh, more Ahsoka news. It looks like, Taylor.
Yeah. So apparently it's been 3 months since the first Ahsoka trailer's come out. It feels like it just came out. We got our first footage though
April.
of it. At Celebration, right?
This little thing called Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, that was so good. I remember when that came out. Yeah, I wasn't there. I watched it at 4:00 in the morning with the rest of the world, and you guys were in the room, right, when the trailer aired.
Jack and I met day one.
Yeah,
and I was like messaging Jack, like, send me it live, but he's like, I'm gonna get kicked out. So that was good. So we're entering the final 2-month countdown to the series. So we're gonna. We are now within range of the second trailer hitting the. Yes. Okay. So we were supposed to get the last official trailer this past weekend, but we didn't.
Yeah.
No. We were talking about it the other night. Why did we decide that they didn't do it? Because
But it looks like
something.
they're keeping it for the Festival of Culture. So whether it's going to be like a private show, maybe, and then snippets get out, who knows?
The Essence Festival of Culture 2023. Yeah, that
Oh.
takes place in New Orleans. The end. Oh no, but that's already. Yeah, I don't know. We didn't see it, so that means we got to keep our eye out for it because they're just going to randomly drop it.
San Diego Comic-Con, 20th to 23rd. 23rd will be 1 month away from the start.
Ooh.
I know a lot of big studios are not going to have a presence at Comic-Con this year. Maybe they drop that to create some of their own news. Yeah. I don't want to wait another 2 weeks for it, but yeah, I don't know. It seems like I just keep looking every day for Ahsoka trailer. So
we got to keep an eye on the Star Wars Twitter page because don't they usually do like a little tiny hint like a few hours before, like the one-worders and stuff? So
yeah, we'll just keep an eye out, and yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up the news for this week. Right, Explorers. So on this week's Rebel Rundown, then we're going to explore two of our favourite characters, being Captain Rex and Saw Gerrera.
Rebel Rundown.
You rebel scum.
Rebel Rundown.
I rebel.
Before we dive into those, however, as always, we've got some comments from you guys, the listeners, our fellow explorers. First up, we've got Jake Crafton, okay, and he says about Saw. Saw, he is very complex. I love his character and conflicting questions it raises in all of us while watching. His methods were ruthless, unapologetically so. Were his tactics necessary? I don't know. However, in Rebels on Geonosis, he showed his heart could change when he saw the genocide that took place there. Even though the Separatists killed his sister, and he goes on to say about Rex, what can I say about Rex? He's a clone's clone, always ready for a fight, takes the best care of his men, loyal, and in a weird way, I always thought of him having a lot in common with R2. And I think he could be on about the blue and white, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh my heart.
But yeah, some great comments there, Jake. Again, totally agree about what you were saying with Saw, especially on that Geonosis episode where the Geonosis is just trying to protect the egg from being destroyed. And we do see a rare glimpse, if you like, of his soft side, obviously, after losing his sister, etc., which we'll go into later on. What about you, Taylor? What have you got?
Well, let's see. We've got next we have Jacob Lusk, and he had this to say. Pardon me while I try to read this paragraph, Jacob. Thanks. My initial impression of Saw in Rogue One wasn't great. Just more like, is this the dude who kept having his his hair changed in the trailers and died like that? But as I watch more canon material with Saw in it, like Clone Wars, Bad Batch, Andor, and Catalyst, etc., we saw the character become more complex and intriguing, all in the context of seeing his death in Rogue One. Rex, gotta love him, particularly his relationship with Ahsoka. What else is there? What else is there to say? What else is there to say? It's great to see his story over the Clone Wars, Bad Batch, Rebels, and Ahsoka.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
Yeah, these characters have been everywhere, like all throughout canon, not just from one place. It's cool.
Yeah. We got comments from 1/4 portion. He says, Rex is an absolute legend, though, loyal to the end. Not going to lie, Saw does my head in a bit. I understand that. And we have Swinny saying, my thoughts on Saw Gerrera are likely too long for an Instagram comment. One of the most important characters in all of Star Wars. Can't wait to see this discussed, guys. It's a chat I'd always love to have, but don't have many around with the inclination to talk about it. Well,
that's why you
Swinny,
have us.
next time I'm in London, we'll sit down and we'll chat about it over a pint, maybe.
Yes. That sounds good.
So I just want to say thanks to everybody. Keep posting, keep answering our questions. You can find us everywhere on the social medias. I even got a TikTok now, even though I don't know how the heck it works. So, but we got Instagram, Facebook, everything's at Explore the Force. You can even email us if you want to send us a question or something like that at exploretheforce
voice note
at gmail.com. Send us whatever you want.
Voice note,
We'll try to get an answer to you.
At gmail.com.
And it's really important that you follow us on our YouTube page. You give us those thumbs up. You give us those 5-star ratings because it really does help us. We are slowly kind of eating into stuff, and we can see it growing, and it's pretty exciting, but we won't be able to do it without your guys' help. So,
yeah.
And you guys have been amazing so far, and we just, we want to keep it up. So thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much. Cool, right, let's get into these two characters then. So, first thing, we'll start with Rex. Taylor, will come to you straight away. Let's go with, what's your expectations on Rex in Ahsoka? Are we going to see a live Rex, do you think? And if so, what's he going to be up to?
I think we will. Because he's always there for Ahsoka, right? And if you guys forgot, Rex actually helped train the Onderon guerrilla fighters that eventually became Saw Gerrera's group. So back in the Clone Wars, Rex and Ahsoka, Anakin and Obi-Wan helped teach Saw Gerrera how to be, how to be in war, right? So they know each other. So I think, I don't know, I'm really excited because all these characters are just connected. I do think we're going to see Rex. Yeah. He's going to give her some advice, but I don't think he's going to be like full fighting. My favorite moment of Rex is when his heart is breaking for, is it Echo in Bad Batch? When he finds him and he's like, no, we don't leave a brother behind. And he's just like so destroyed and heartbroken over his brother. And it just shows like they're not just clones, like they're people. Like look at his emotions, look at his feelings. He's different than all the other clones. He's smart. He's inventive. He's, I don't know. He proves that the clones are just more than just a bunch of clones. And that scene in Bad Batch made me love him.
Yeah, he's a top quality character. What do you reckon, Jimmy?
Yes, for my expectations in Ahsoka, I believe if he's going to be there, I think he's going to be by her side. And I do think we see the end of Rex in this series. I do think that he's going to go down saving Ahsoka. It would be, you sit there and you think about, they've done these little things, and Dave Filoni is a mastermind, right? So in Tales of the Jedi, he's there blasting away at Ahsoka, training her. They had that first run-in when she's young about, experience trumps everything. He paints the helmets for season 7. He's there with her at Siege of Mandalore. He shows back up in Rebels to help her. I mean, this guy and Ahsoka, they are tight. Other than Anakin, she might be closest to Rex outside of Anakin. And so I foresee, especially with Tim Morrison being available, I see an active Rex, and I think this will be the end of Rex as well. Don't cry for Tim, though. He can play, another million different characters. He'll be doing all right.
He'll be back as Cody.
You can just bring him back. So you can bring him back as Cody.
It's funny you should say that, because I was thinking the same thing, because we've got all these myths, or is it him in Return of the Jedi? And I think
it's him. It's him. George Lucas confirmed it.
Oh, well, I don't know.
They've given him a name. They've given that character a name. I think at one point they said yes, and then they went back and they renamed that character, and it's not Rex. I think, off the top of my head, but I could be wrong.
Oh yeah,
I'm with you there, Jimmy.
Yeah, we'll see.
So
you know how they like to confuse us.
What do you think, Jack? Do you think he's going to show up? Do you think he's going to have a big part, small part?
Yeah, I think. I don't know what it is today with myself and you, Jimmy, but yeah, I'm totally on board with what you're saying. I think they'll polish him off on this one. I think he'll go down a hero's death. He's been with Ahsoka from the start to the finish now. I think he will die. He is a soldier's soldier, leads by the front, always there for the boys. And you see it from the off in Clone Wars, where they're all fresh out the factory. they're very narrow-minded to begin with, but they slowly start to get a bit of personality about them. And it is heartbreaking at the end of Clone Wars where they all turn on Ahsoka, and he takes the high ground as well. He doesn't kill; he only stuns them. I still think even then it's admirable, and just sticking with Ahsoka as well through thick and thin. And I like the fact as well in Bad Batch is there. He still goes off on his own a little bit, does a little things, still out there. He's still got that vision. But yeah, a big fan of Rex. I think, yeah, big fan. I'd like to see his thoughts on Anakin going to Vader though.
Maybe they'll talk about it. How
That would
be just like around the campfire talking about it. Oh.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Maybe Ahsoka and Rex are having a chat about it, and she's like, "Oh, you wouldn't believe who Vader is," or maybe Rex will recognize him from his fighting abilities. He's been by his side. He's part of the 501st. I mean, this is a group that storms the Citadel and storms the
cool.
Jedi Temple. So who knows?
Yeah, no, I'd like to see that.
You got a favorite moment, Jack, of Rex throughout all of Rebels? Moment.
Or I think it's that way where in Clone Wars final season where it just when he turns, he's like, I'm not killing any of them brothers. Still, he still chooses to stun them. And a standout moment is probably where he's on Umbra as well. Where he's fighting alongside who is it now? Skywalker's there, I think, and is it T and Krell? I think it is. They basically have to take that capital, and yeah, it really shines for me in that true leader, leads by example. Yeah, big fan. But again, just thinking what Taylor said, he did train Saul Guerrero as well. He trained all the Onderan rebels. So again, I think it'd be interesting to dive in that a bit more and see if they do ask about Anakin. And I'm curious, does Rex know that Anakin's Vader at this point? He still doesn't know, does he?
I don't think so.
I don't think they've ever made a reference to it, but no. I mean, no.
So unless Ahsoka told him.
I'd like to see that conversation.
Yeah, I don't think it happens in Rebels. I mean, she finds out in Rebels, obviously, and I don't think that conversation is ever had. Not on screen, anyways. So
I think it's different seasons too that they see each other. Yeah. Than the Vader thing happening.
Yeah, but no, big fan of Rex. Can see why he's a fan favorite. I think he's the total opposite of Saw Gerrera, which we'll go onto now. So we'll start with yourself, Jimmy. All right, what's your thoughts on Saw Gerrera? What do you think about him?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of hard to talk about him and not talk about his and Rex connections. Like we said, they started on Alderaan, and then again they're going to get into Alderaan, and then they're going to be on Geonosis together. Some crazy things happen. I think, because if you think about the, and I know we're doing a Rebel rundown, but it's kind of hard to piece these things apart, because by the time we see Saw in Rebels, he is jaded. He is leading the partisans at that point, I believe. And he is kind of a jerk. I mean, he's going to take out the last, the Click Clack, the last Geonosian. He's going to take him out. I mean, he's like, he comes to a point where like he's got to fight Ezra and those guys off of him, and he has a little bit of a redeeming thing at the end. But I don't know, everything we see about him, I think he's a really great character. Don't get me wrong, but I would not want to go and be on his squad, because if it benefited him, he's just going to leave you. I don't feel like. I mean, he's all about the mission, which is good. But I don't know. I love the character. I'm not a huge fan of him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Again, I'm a fan of him as well. However, obviously, Bad Batch, it was kind of his fault. I think that a certain clone died. So I think might not be a massive fan favourite for most people.
Too soon, Jack. It's too soon, Jack.
Yeah, crying.
It's still raw. But I do like, because it's an interesting topic this week, I think, with Rex and Saw. You've got Rex that's very military indoctrinated, does it all sort of by the book, where you've got Saw Gerrera, who's this guerrilla tactician, hit and run tactics. Nothing gets in the way of an objective. Obviously, he lost his sister, which affects quite a bit of his decisions. But he's very resourceful, extremely resourceful, and he's a brilliant soldier. Like I say, he knows what he's doing, getting in and out of places. Obviously, if it weren't for Saw Gerrera, we wouldn't have destroyed the Death Star. So,
Yeah.
He brought on Jin back in Rogue One. I was a bit disappointed in his death, if I'm honest. But I think
he looked like he was
kinda
dying of other. He looked like he was dying of other things too.
I feel like he was like one surgery away from turning into a Vader. So,
yeah. Don't smoke, kids.
Yeah, don't smoke.
Don't smoke, kids.
So,
what do you think, Taylor? What's your thoughts and opinions on Saw?
Saw is very about the results, not about what you lose on the way. So he is totally opposite of Rex, because Rex is like, no brother gets left behind. Like, we're all brothers here. Like, somebody get this guy a medic. Like, and then there's Saw, who's like, just leave him. Like, we're getting this done. Like, just blow up that ship that's got all of our people on it, because it'll do this. And maybe the war does need that. They did need it. But there's this one moment with Saw in the Catalyst book, where he's being really, really nice and caring and like almost soft and gentle with Jin. And it's like this soft side of him. And he's like, don't worry, like one day, like together, like, what do you think? We'll fight together. Like, but he's being like so kind and gentle. And it's just this complete different side of him. Yeah. Especially the actor, because I listened to that one on Audible. So the actor who played Saw Gerrera did a pretty good job. So I like that. So it makes you think like he does have a good side. He does remember his sister who was blown up by a ship, or she was squished by a ship that he blew up that crashed on top of where she was stationed. So he believes that her death was actually on him anyways. So it's like terrible, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of his thinking, but like he would rather leave all of the people on Kashyyyk to be in war and losing the war and leave and do his other mission that he knows is important than really caring about those people, right? Because we even see Saw in Fallen Order too. He's connected to so many people. He's connected to Cal Kestis. Like we see him in Andor, so he has these connections to that as well, which connects the Mandoverse together a little bit more too. So I like that. Forrest Whitaker is just awesome.
great.
Deception!
Yeah.
So I'm like... So I posted a little picture of him last week because I was like just going over some of his old quotes, and he does have some pretty good monologues and some good war speeches, I'll tell you that. Yeah. And I think he will be showing up just as he did in Andor, just enough to be like tasteful.
So with this, go on, Jimmy.
Oh, go ahead, Jack. Well, I was just going to say, like, obviously he's going to be dead by the time this Ahsoka show rolls around, right? Because this is after, Return of the Jedi. So does he show up? Does he show up more in Andor season 2? Probably. I mean, you still have Forrest Whitaker. You've got to take the advantages of having an actor like his. Plus, I mean, he's going to be. I mean, this is an opportunity to have Jyn Erso show up. I mean, it's like that would be nuts.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that because the actor, her name forgets me now. I think it's Natalie something. That plays Sabine Wren, she confirmed that the timeline for Ahsoka is running in parallel with Mando 3. So while Mando 3 is happening, at the same time Ahsoka's happening. So you're completely right there. He's not going to obviously turn up.
It does have a little bit where her hair is like short and then long. So like the timeline looks like it could jump around.
Yeah, there could be some flashbacks. One interesting question I'll put to you, Jimmy. Do you think that when Saw Gerrera's sister died, do you think he switched then from just trying to do it for his people's sake to more of just a revenge sort of thing?
I think it's all he has, right? His sister, they don't talk anything about any other family. I don't know if his family had died in the battle that was going on his planet, but when he loses his sister, I think he's kind of had that because I mean he wasn't even the leader. And that's the crazy thing. If you haven't watched Clone Wars, his sister
His
was the
sister
one
was
in
the leader.
charge, right? Stella
Yeah,
Guerrera was in charge. She was an amazing leader, and I think things would have been
Stila.
very different. Stila
Yeah,
would have been very different, but I think once she passes, you know, he just that's it. He's all in, and I don't think he cares about his own death. I think as long as he can take as many Imperials down as he can,
yeah.
it's whatever.
He just seems to be lucky. Also, he was flirting with Ahsoka a little bit in that Clone Wars episode, getting his flirt on with her. I don't think she was interested at all, though.
I'd flirt with Ahsoka. So
Me too.
100%. So we put a poll out as well of who would you follow into battle or have lead between Rex and Saul. And yeah, Rex absolutely stormed that. And just from the discussion, you can see why. You know you're probably going to get at least Rex would come back for you rather than Saul would just leave you for dead and be like, thanks for everything.
Kick you over to get by.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. I mean, being prior military myself, Jack, I know you're still in it, but there's no doubt in my mind who I'm following into battle. So
I was on a laser tag team.
There you go. That's almost the same.
I wouldn't follow him. I wouldn't follow him into laser tag either.
So, I did have one thing. We talked about the Battle of Umbara, and I think Rex is a part of that. He's part of that, right? And then Pong Krell takes over.
Yes, he is. Yeah, and
I always
Pong
think
Krell
of Pong
is,
Krell
treating him like crap.
You know, he's doing that. He always reminded me. Pong Krell's one of an interesting Jedi to me, but he always kind of reminded me of Saw Gerrera in those episodes, because he was just all about the mission. Hated the. So I almost think Saw would have treated clones that way. Would have been like, you're just a tool to get the job done. So
100%, mate.
Why that
pawn,
but
interesting. Cool, right. So that about wraps it up for our Rebel rundown. What we're going to go into now is myself and Jimmy. We're going to talk about some Jedi Survivor because we've finally completed it. There's a little few hints and tips and a few spoilers on the way, and we'll jump straight into that. Cool, hello and welcome then to our mini episode where myself and Jimmy are going to chat all things about Jedi Survivor. Now, I know Jimmy has been absolutely chomping at the bit and waiting for me to get my ass into gear and complete this game. So, without any further ado then, let's get down to business. So, first of all, I have to warn, there will be spoilers. So, if you haven't completed it yet, maybe skip this episode until later on.
Yeah, don't watch it, Taylor.
So, Jimmy, first things first, we've got a nice little question set put out there. Obviously, we don't know the answer, so all the reactions that you can see from myself and Jimmy are live. And hopefully, some of you guys and girls out there can let us know what you think. So the first question then, we'll set to Jimmy, is if we're going to rate the gameplay out of 10, 10 being the best and 1 being the worst, what would you give it and why?
I think it's probably... I don't, sitting here thinking about it, there was nothing that I didn't like about it. They improved upon last game. They changed some things, the stances and stuff like that, which we'll get into. So I'd probably say, again, I'm not a huge gamer. I am a giant Star Wars nerd that really focuses on Star Wars. So, again, Red Dead Redemption, Last of Us, Star Wars games, Hogwarts Legacy, whatever. Those are the games I'm comparing this to. So don't come at me, people, for giving this a higher rating. But I would say 8 or 9. There was a couple little things. I'm not sure if it's necessarily gameplay, more game design, but I thought it was fine. I thought it was good. It was fun. Felt like a damn Jedi. So that's what I want to do when I'm playing that game.
Yeah, totally agree. Myself, I'll probably stick with the same score as well. Again, quite fluid gameplay. A lot of changes from the previous one. A lot of new stances. Some stances probably better than others, which we'll go into a bit more depth later on. There's lots of things going on in the game as well throughout. It's not just a constant standstill world. Sort of going into the realms of the new Outlaws game to a degree. But it's good that, especially on Kobo, there's lots of different things going on, especially that cantina. I absolutely love the cantina. What's your thoughts on the cantina?
It's pretty cool. It's a different style of home base for you, so it's kind of neat. I mean, most of that story, I know you go to a few other places. I don't feel like you travel as much as you did in the first game, but a lot of the stuff happens on Kobo, so it is nice to have basically your base there, and then it grows very video gamey. Where as you level up in a way, the saloon levels up with you. It gets nicer. You get more jobs. Um, and it increased the gameplay, I think, because it gave you more side missions, made the game a little bit more non-linear. You know, you could go do things. People send you on your stuff. So I liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a fun little story, and it's kind of cool to see Grease. You know, the first game he always talks about cooking and doing all that stuff and wanting to. And I also think of like from Solo, I think of Rio wanting to open up a. I
Yeah.
always think of Rio when I see Grease and getting to open up a saloon or whatever. So I liked it. I thought it was a cool aspect to the game. How about you?
Yeah, totally agree. I'm an absolute sucker for side missions. Any games. If there's a side mission, I'll leave the main mission and go and do loads of side missions. So by the time I went to the main missions, I was just so overpowered. I love the saloon stuff. I love the little fish tank in the middle. I think I've got about 10 out of 12. I'm going to 100% this game now. I love the little tactics game that you have upstairs as well. I thought that was pretty decent. A little bit frustrating at times. The gardening thing, like you said, I thought it was a bit of a filler, to be fair. I got to a point where I was just putting plants down just for the sake of it. But I loved all the Easter eggs.
Yeah, I did. I'd be perfectly honest with you. I was afraid of getting the game spoiled for me, so I kind of pushed through a lot of that stuff. I did a lot of side missions, got stronger, but I'm already started the second game playthrough. I want to do more of that game, the fish tank, the garden. I'll probably focus on that stuff a little bit more this time because it's not necessary to, the gameplay of it actual. It's just kind of extra fun stuff to do.
Yeah. There's so much hidden stuff which we'll go into later on. Next, Dan, you already spoke about it, not having the story spoiled for yourself. So now you've completed it, and also I've completed it as well. What would you rate the story out of 10, and why?
I'll probably give it a 7, I think, and for two big reasons. There were a lot of highs in the game. There was a lot of lows. I don't think it stacks up to the first story, the first game. I don't think it's as good. I do think there's a lot of great connections to the High Republic and some other things that happen into it. And I feel like it was just setting up the next game. I mean, I don't know how else that ending could be taken other than, and it feels like they kind of just, all right, we got to this point. This is where we're going to stop. And I mean, it was a fun journey. Don't get me wrong. Like, and I was excited. There's things. I mean, there's some stuff that happens. You're like, oh my gosh, like freaking out that people showing up, and but I didn't like it as much as the first one. Introduce those characters for the first time, and then of course I did think the story was a little short and just kind of a segue to the next one. So,
yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, probably about the same. But I think you've probably been a bit generous with the story. So for myself, I'd probably give it about a 6 for the story.
All right.
It is a little bit short. I think some of the characters that they didn't use or didn't show as much of as I would have liked. Reyes, for example, I'd have loved to have battled him a few more times. For someone that can regenerate,
yeah,
I'd
I was
like to have constant battles
surprised.
with him.
I thought you would face him more. Had to level up to beat him because he could do some crazy stuff. It seemed like kind of a wasted character, almost a Captain Phasma, if you will, right?
Yeah.
Just not the potential. All his potential's there, and then he just kind of went away from it. So,
but with that as well, I was thinking about it. Is I can't remember the name of his species now. It escapes me, but is that a sign of things to come for new upcoming Star Wars stuff? So they don't want to give too much away.
I would say yes, given the fact of how they've started tying things in. You know, everyone's saying Dank Ferrick now, and they're doing a really great job. I love these connections, and you're seeing things. So yeah, I would say yes. I would believe that. I mean, I'm just gonna go out and tell you right now. I expect Cal Kestis to show up live action somewhere.
Yeah.
So, but I think they're making connections, and it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah. I thought the story again, like you said, it is good. It is a good story. It is very short. More characters I thought were not wasted, but I would like to see more of the twins right at the start. They got absolutely murdered.
Yeah.
I like them. I thought, who are these interesting people? And they got killed pretty quickly.
That would have been a better opening. Almost suffers from the same thing that Solo suffered from. You have this band, this crew of amazing characters, and within the first 15 minutes of the game and the movie, they're gone. You know, and of course you're supposed to believe that Cal's upset about this, but it's hard to believe a character's upset about it unless you're on that journey with them. And sometimes I think they forget that. Like, you need to watch through his eyes and build relationships while they build relationships. And so, yeah, I would agree with you totally. That part was kind of wasted. They were fun characters. I'd like to see, you know, maybe they'll come up with a book or something. Who knows? Or a comic.
And the next character as well, again, in regards to the stories, is Master Cordova. And I might be wrong.
My.
But he just seemed to appear out of nowhere, didn't really do much in the library, and then got blasted.
I thought he was dead. Like, I thought...
Yeah.
When that door opens up and Cordova steps out, I was like, holy beep. Like, I was pumped to see that character. I don't know why I just assumed he was gone. Like, from the first game. Like, I just assumed he had passed, and that was that. It was awesome to see him. But yeah, I don't think that they utilized him. I mean, you're going to be looking at a few more hours of gameplay probably if he could send you out on missions to go. I mean, there weren't very many planets. He could have sent you somewhere else. They could have come up with another planet.
Yeah.
You know, go back to Zepho. You missed something, or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, I think underutilized. It was awesome to see him, though. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why I assumed he was gone with Order 66. And seeing him was awesome. It was really cool. But yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, it just made me laugh when Sarah said it just appeared. I thought, yeah, okay, I'll go with that. It's Star Wars. I think the use of Vader is a bit overkill now. We've seen him in the first one. I was a bit like Vader again. I was surprised though that again with the cutscene, she nearly beat him. That was good.
Yeah, I think that they showed Seer has grown, and it's a tough fight scene. But, I was kind of surprised that's what they went with. I thought maybe, I'm trying to think of timeline-wise, like Grand Inquisitor's still around, right, during this? Or I thought maybe that would have been a way to go, something a little different. But, Vader's a good one. You're right, though. I was a little bit surprised, maybe overused. And then I was kind of surprised by, some of the cutscenes that you start whooping on them pretty good. But, just I'm not sure if that's taking away from Vader's lore. But he always wins. I mean, in the end.
Yeah.
You can beat him up all you want. You don't kill him.
No.
He's going to get you.
He's super strong. Cool. Right. We'll move on to the next few questions then.
Right. Okay. So our next question: favorite aspect or part of the game and why?
Has to be the fighting. The fighting you do as the Jedi with the little cutscenes where it's, for example, you fight the droids, you chop the leg off, then the body off, or you fight some of the monsters at the end and it runs up the body and then puts the saber through the heads and stuff like that. The combat in the game, it just flows beautifully. You can see they put a lot of effort and a lot of choreography into their acting and stuff like that. I love deflecting the blasters as well. That's an absolute joy. I know I've just said fighting favorite aspect. But I'd also say fighting the B1 droids is my favorite thing as well. Those guys are hilarious.
Yeah.
There's that one right at the start where he's saying, "What a fantastic view" or something, and my finger is just itching to force push, and even before I get close, I'm like, "He's gone, he's gone off that cliff." But yeah, just the whole fighting aspect of it, even with all the different stances, yeah, it just flows really, really well, and you enjoy the saber battles. It is difficult. It's good working out weaknesses and stuff like that with the creatures. But yeah, it just flows really well. What about you, Jimmy?
Yeah, I had to say the fighting. I mean, a game like this, you're gonna want, you're playing a Jedi. We all pretended to be them or pretend to be them. So it's fun to get to be one. I think that because I was a little concerned before we got started, like, okay, the first game, it's all about your force powers coming back, and they did a terrific job in Fallen Order, learning your force powers, and obviously pushing the game along, and all the stances. I thought that was pretty cool. A way to still level up. They don't really change the outcome of the game. I don't know about you, and I think we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but I kind of use the same stance.
Yeah,
or same two stances most of the game. And now that I'm going through my second run through, I'm trying to play differently. But yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I liked the openness of the worlds a little bit more too. So, and I kind of, one thing, I'm back on the moon base, and I like how you kind of come back to the same spots. Like you kind of come around in the shortcuts, because the maps in the first game were amazing. But man, there's times where I just turn it off because I was like, I can't get back to where I'm supposed to be. So that was a little bit nicer. And then I don't think I ever used fast travel in this one, but yeah, I think the fighting and just there's so much. It's a really good game. So, okay, so what did you dislike about the game?
So for me, I think there's a massive, massive lack of travelling. There's a few planets you go to, Jeddah, Koba, sorry, quite big. Happy Days. Coruscant's quite big, but that's your starter planet, so I was happy with that. But stuff like the Shattered Moon, Tanalorr was such a letdown for me. I was expecting another Koba type exploration. Let's see what's happening, but there was nothing. Granted, it was the end thing. Stuff like Kashyyyk on the first one, I thought was amazing as well. I'd just like to visit a different planet or a couple of more planets and see a few more different things. I just thought there's a massive lack of traveling, if I'm honest.
Yeah, as I was playing it today, getting ready for this, research. So, I was kind of thinking, like, as you pull up the hologram, bam, and it's like 3 places in the Shattered Moon, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like that really isn't that much. So it would have been, like I said, it would have been fun either to travel back to a planet that was in the first game, maybe you lost something there, or introduce a new planet.
Yeah.
And then you could have had your fights with Ravis. You could have tied some stuff with Master Cordova, sorry, sending you off on little side missions to help get pieces or parts or whatever they needed. So,
yeah.
But yeah, traveling wasn't as much. The map of Kobo was massive.
It is huge.
And Jeddah
was huge.
Jeddah was pretty big, not nearly as big. And then everything else is pretty small, I thought. So, and again, that probably lends itself to the short gameplay as well.
Yeah. If they'd extended a few more planets, I think they'd have been a lot more better. And you just reminded me as well, there is mentions of Saw Gerrera in the game. So there's another missed opportunity there. They could have travelled to another planet where they're doing the base of operations, for example, or you're getting parts, just like Star Wars Rebels, where they're getting parts for the rebellion. Yeah.
So, all right. We both loved the fighting on this game, obviously. So, what is your favorite stance? Or stance is, I guess. So you had to pick 2.
Easy question, mate. Dual wield all day, baby. Dual wielding for me was an absolute damage dealer, and being able to chuck 2 lightsabers out and they automatically go where you want them. I forgot the technique. I think snake something, striking snakes, I think it is. And your sabers go to all the enemies as long as you've charged it all properly. and I found as well with dual wielding, I was able to attack stuff and get out with the combo, which was quite a key trick. I liked dual wield as well, but that's because obviously Darth Maul's my favourite character, so I tried that for a little bit. But I found that when you start to get hit when you're with that, you sort of lack a little bit. But yeah, dual wielding, the damage and the speed you could dish out with that was amazing. What about you, Jimmy? What was your favourite stance?
Yeah, so this first run through, I would say that I was in the double-bladed lightsaber and the gun. What was that stance called? I'm totally drawing a blank right now, but
yeah,
the blaster stance.
yeah,
I just thought that idea of a Jedi with a gun, and it was kind of good because you could peg animals and peg enemies from far out, get in there,
yeah,
hit them a few times, jump back out. Those are the two that I used, I would say, almost the entire way through the game. This second run through, I've decided I've only gotten the dual bladed one, and I just got the blaster again, but I'm going to try not to use it. I'm doing dual wield. Cause I do like that style, kind of Ahsoka fighting. I think that's pretty cool. And like I just a traditional one blade kind of getting it. I don't even know that heavy like cross guard. I never used it. I used it the part they made me use it, but it was so slow.
too slow and
it might have been
clunky.
good. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe the idea is that like you bust that out when you're on the defense and then you switch over real fast. But I'm not good enough at these games when I get caught up in a moment to switch back and forth, because that's why I usually just focus on one or two things and I build up that saber and I use the same kind of stuff. So,
Yeah,
but I mean, I guess if you're like a really good gamer, you could probably use it to your advantage. You take that dual wield and then you take the cross guard stance and you could good defense, good offense, but I am not good enough. I'll do
yeah,
that.
I'm sort of the same. I didn't see the point in switching between stances during battle anyway. With the dual wheel, I didn't see the need to. I was that fast, and it's just maneuverability, and it's just a long game really with it. The blaster stuff's good though, because you get a few cheeky shots from the blaster, which is helpful. But yeah, the cross guard stuff, it was a bit too slow and clunky for me, and a lot of the time you get hit and it knocks you off your stance. So you've got to be fighting something pretty big and slow, which really there isn't that much. Depending on the difficulty you're playing, I guess that you could use that cross stored guard with anyway.
Yeah. I don't think I'll use it the second time through. Maybe I get bored over Christmas next year or this year, play through it again. I'll mess around with that, but not really for me. I like to be able to move around a little bit faster. So, all right. Here's a tough one, I think. I saw this list that you made for us, and I was like, oh boy. Your favorite character and why? That is a tough one.
So, I've got a lot of favourite characters, but if I'm going to pick one,
Let's see. That's not how that
I'm
works.
going to go with. See, I'm going to go with someone that I don't think anyone else would say because of the development of the character and what she does. So it'd be Cage, the bounty hunter in the saloon.
Oh yeah, I remember you texting me, and you're like, "Oh man, wait till you get this." You said, I know you said that you love that character.
Yeah, Cage is I love bounty hunters, but Cage is friggin' awesome. There's quite a lot of development behind it, and have you seen what happens to it at the end?
I don't think so. Like I said, I didn't do a lot of the side stuff because I was so worried about getting the game ruined for me that I wanted to get the story done. So this time I'll take my time and play it. But
okay, so I'll tell you stuff without trying to spoil it too much for yourself, even though I said there's no spoil. There is spoilers. So essentially, she sends you on the bounty missions to go and get bounty books.
Yeah.
But she has a master plan overall. And then when you talk to at the end, there's another special guest appearance, and that's all I'll say.
Oh,
you have to.
No, I got to go do that. I got to go do that.
Jimmy, as soon as you've done that, you need to message me, and then you'll be like, "That's why Jax chose her."
Right.
But yeah, I love her character. She's amazing. She looks great as well.
Yes, she's a Nautilin with an Australian accent or whatever it was. Yeah. I think it's Australian. It was such a cool character, and she just kind of shows up and sends you on your way. And not to really trust her. I felt like because you just didn't know. I mean, I guess maybe that was a decoy. So
yeah.
But
Yeah,
she's a pretty
I love
fun
her
character.
blasters. She's brilliant, and I love her little jump boots, stuff like that. It reminded me a little bit of Cad Bane's. Big fan of Cad Bane as well.
Yeah, I thought about Cad Bane when she like flies away from you and is talking in that one
Yeah,
cutscene. So man, now I got to
yeah.
go up there and
Honestly,
hop on there
you
and do
do that,
that.
you'll see what I mean. She sends you around the hula, obviously chasing down all these bounty hunters that are trying to track you down. And then you find out why, and then a special guest appearance happens, and your mind just goes, "What?" Kind of like when Vader turned up in the first one, your head
Oh
will just drop
yeah,
off. Like honestly, Jimmy, it's probably I
dang,
think the
I
best
was.
part about the game.
Oh wow. Okay, well I got to get busy then because
Yeah,
there's a lot of bounties.
yeah. What about you,
So
Jimmy? What's your favorite character then?
I like Cal's development. We both read the book.
Yeah,
The main characters. I like Marin. I don't know what it is. I was disappointed. I guess maybe that's one of the things I should have said of what I didn't like about the game. I really was convinced in my mind that you're going to get to play as Marin. Like, you're
yeah.
going to get to be her. And I
I was
thought that would be
expecting
kind
it.
of an
I was expecting
interesting
that.
change of things. Maybe you have to go save Cal or something and get to use her powers. But her
That'd been
development,
cool.
I don't know if the book kind of helps a little bit. I mean, I don't think the book you don't need to read the book at all
No,
to follow the story along. It just kind of sets a few things up, and it doesn't even the book doesn't even end the way this story starts.
no,
So it's
doesn't give
kind
it
of
any inkling towards the game whatsoever.
so good book, fun read.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think Marin for me. Very interesting. You think about like Asajj Ventress, you think of Mother
yeah,
Talzin, all the Night Sisters, and you think about too, like, my thing is like, how the hell did Grievous and Dooku ever beat the Night Sisters if Marin by herself can just lay waste to fools and, realizing that
yeah,
power. So there's a little bit of some issues maybe with the lore, but yeah, I think Marin's really
yeah,
cool. I would like to see more of her. I would like to play as her, and she has a great attitude. She's snarky. She's got good little one-liners throughout the game, and I just think she adds a lot to the story. And I'm kind of curious. I'm not a shipper, like I said. I think I said in our last episode we're talking about like Ezra and all like the Raylo stuff, but those two have to get together. Or I'm going to be like
yeah. There is a little bit
So
of it, and I'm just like, when are these Jedi going to learn that anytime you fall in love, it brings bad things?
yeah, so
Everything in Star
may,
Wars. As soon as a Jedi falls in love, bad things come around the corner every single
yeah,
time.
maybe that's where the next story goes. She gets taken out, and he goes cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah,
So, but
yeah. I'd like to see a mini Cal Kestis, a mini Darth Maul, Jedi/Sith child, maybe.
that would be. Oh man, yeah. Can you imagine?
But
Show up in
we'll talk about that. We'll
be
talk
so.
about that in our predictions because that's part of my predictions as
All
well.
right, very cool. All right.
Cool. So we spoke a little bit about the traveling, our characters and stances. Next thing then. So, what is your favorite planet and why?
Most of the game happens on Kobo, so that's pretty fun. But having just done phase 2 of the High Republic, all the stuff that ties into Jeddah,
Yeah.
It was hard for me, and we've seen, we're getting these small glimpses, and they're doing a great job. Like Gareth Edwards creates this movie and brings this place to life.
Yeah.
And now they're building around that, which I think people don't give Gareth as much credit as they should for what he did. Because everyone focuses on the end, like, oh, he had to come in and change it. But
Yeah.
90%, and that movie is still a good movie, even without Vader going.
I love it.
Possibly
Absolutely. It's one
the
of my
best favorite scenes in Star Wars. But
yeah,
I'd have to say Jeddah, just because you see the Nautolan Sentinel, the Protector, one of the statues. You see another statue, and that's really cool for me. And then just having that lore. Then, of course, you ask me again next time I play it, and I'm not deep into the High Republic stuff. Maybe not, but just with all the tie-ins with that game or that show with stories, and this game. It was kind of cool to be there and see something different other than just the city of Jeddah.
Yeah, so planet-wise, there's not that many planets really to go off. So we'll sort of change that then. So planet, you've gone with Jeddah. What about location then on any planet?
Oh, man. Probably Kobo, I think. Just like all the different places you could go. The forest array kind of reminded me of being in Kashyyyk. And just some of the different things you could do there. And that planet had so much, but maybe the Lucre Hulk. I was like, I just was like, oh my, like seeing it. I don't know why. I mean, it's just a game, but just seeing that, I was like, oh my God, like, you see it, you get these these tie-ins. People want to talk about nostalgia and whatever, but man, as soon as I saw that, I was like, whoa, what is that doing there? And you get to go run through it. It's very cool. So that's probably my favorite area to be exploring in was the Lucre Hulk.
Yeah,
for sure.
100%. Both your answers are my answers. No ifs or buts around that. Same reasons pretty much. Rogue One's probably my favourite Star Wars film as well. Seeing the Lucre Hulk, when there's that little cut scene, you see all the Vulture droids going in and out as well. I thought that was amazing. However, I did really like going on the ISB station. That was
pretty cool.
That was awesome. And you're fighting wave after wave of them. I thought, oh, man.
Well, the first time I played that and beat it, I forgot that I had set it down a level because I was doing something and I set it down because I wanted to get through it and I was leaving or something and I forgot. So I ran through that and I'm like, how? Like I'm badass. Like I'm just fighting all these. I mean, because it's like like you said, wave after wave of enemies.
Wave after wave, mate. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Bonkers fighting. Kind of reminds me of like the ending of like the first Last of Us when you're Joel and you're busting out of the hospital. I mean, it's never like you're sweating because it's so intense, So yeah, that's a good one. That's a good call.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I love seeing the ISB stuff as well. Always a big fan of that. And it sort of ties into the next question: favorite Easter egg or find and why? What did you find and you thought, oh my goodness, this is a little gold mine here?
Well, for me, it was all the tie-ins and things like that. I thought was really cool. There's not one that really stands out. I mean, I think getting to fight a Rancor was probably maybe because I struggled so much for whatever reason with it. But that was like the first really big connection to anything for me because I found it by accident right off the beginning of the game. Was not nearly strong enough to fight it. So I love that. But I just think all the tie-ins with the High Republic and the stuff from the prequels, I mean, every time you turn around, you're fighting battle droids and you're fighting, the commander droids or whatever. I mean, just like the assassin droids and things. It was pretty cool. How about you?
Again, probably about the same. Just sticking with the ISB stuff. ISB stuff is where you go through that door after fighting wave after wave, and you come across a boss. I think I have 11 stims on me at the minute. And you go through the door, and then the boss comes up, and it's is it Rick the Mechanic or something like that? I think it's called Rick the Mechanic. And you're like, oh my god, how is this a boss? And then he comes towards you. And obviously, because I'm dual wield, I took a saber straight away. And if you one shots him, it's like, oh, okay. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. Again, I love fighting the Rancor. When I found the Rancor at the start, I told you you can force grab the bone and chuck it into its mouth. I love that little Easter egg. I thought that was brilliant. Again, the Lucre Hulk stuff was like absolutely amazing. Just like the first one when he could go to the Republic ship. I absolutely love that sort of stuff. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. What else? Easter eggs. The High Republic stuff. Again, absolutely brilliant. Loads of little good tie-ins. The mention of a lot of Storgo era, the Jedi stuff. There's quite a few Easter eggs and finds. Next little bit we'll go into then is the hardest bit about the game and why. So what did you struggle with the most, Jimmy?
Those tears in the Force. Like when you go in there, I think I've done 2 of them. That's part of the reason I'm going back to do it again. I got frustrated with the patterns. I don't know. I thought that aspect of the game was pretty hard, pretty difficult.
Yeah.
I liked it. I like that challenge. I don't want to be able to like just march through it. But for the fact that they weren't vital to the game. I did not have I didn't want to sit there and, I spent, I don't know how long I spent on that Rancor, because I remember I was telling you,
Yeah.
just, I mean, I felt like I spent a day on trying to fight that stupid thing because I didn't want to give up. But yeah, I think those tears in the Force, and then that one scene where you fall down in and that stupid frog is down there, and
Spawn
I
of
had to
Boga.
use that thing. And it's a family show, but man, that thing was pissing me off.
Yeah.
I thought, I mean, my brother-in-law was over because we had we were getting ready for a graduation party the next day, and he's a pretty good gamer, so he and I were playing. So shout out to Austin, and he's like, "Let me try." So he would try, then I would try, then he would try, and then I was just like, "Oh," he's like, "I got to go to my house to go grab something," and I ended up beating him by accident, beating it, and he was like, "Yeah," he was so pumped. But yeah, there was a lot of tough side stuff in that game. So, I mean, I can't even imagine those guys who played on Jedi Master.
I did it on Jedi Knight.
Yeah.
I died a few times. And again, I was messaging you when I was fighting that Spawn of Boga. I'm sure it took me like 52 times. I ended up counting or something crazy. However, I will admit, I sort of not cheated. So before you drop down and you beat the guys around it, above it is the guys with the staffs. So what I was doing was I was force pulling them down and dodging so they didn't hit me. So I had two of them chasing me. I'd run across, force jump to the middle and bounce out. When it opens them, they drop down. So essentially then they start fighting the frog thing for you. And then whatever's left of the frog, then I jump down and nail it as quick as I can.
Well, that's how I did it after you told me. I think you had messaged me or something. You're like, "Oh, I'll wait till you get to this." And I don't, that's what those guys are up there for, because I don't know how you get up there where they're at. Those two guys that you pull down, like, I have no idea how to get up there. I think that's one of those things that they build into the game. But yeah, that was a great tip, because I think I got one of them down there, let him fall in there, and fought him a little while, because you couldn't force push him. So,
No.
But yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah. And then, like you said, the fractures. And that's when I worked out about the dual wielding stuff. So it is easier to throw the lightsabers at the frogs, because you go through a fracture and you fight two of them.
Oh, yeah, that one that's in Domo's shop or whatever, right?
Yeah. So I beat them two. There's another fracture, though. And again, I beat this. And this took some going. It was two Rancors. And you've got to watch your back because they're grabbing you. Oh, mate.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about fighting those Rancors. They get a hold of you, that the game's over. Like, you could have them down to nothing.
Yep.
And it's happened a few times. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get you. And then whack. I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah. But that's when you have to do it at the end game stuff, because the easiest way to beat the bigger creatures like that is go dark side.
Yeah.
As soon as you go to Cal's dark side, it is OP.
I'll have to try that this time.
Yeah. And that brings us on to our predictions for the future then. So, again, predictions for the future. I'll just start us off because I'm sort of leaning into it a little bit. I think we're going to start exploring Cal's dark side. I think we're going to go down the path now of where we choose if he's going to use the light side abilities or the dark side abilities. I still think he'll keep all the abilities to a degree, but I think we're going to see the light side and the dark side. And for the dark side to be used, I think, like you said rightly, is something may happen to Merrin or the child, or Merrin and Cal have a child that causes him to use either the light or the dark to save them. That's if maybe some Inquisitors head his way, maybe. Because we know that the Empire's above Koba at this point. The ship's up there. So that's gonna take a hammering, I think. And then the only way they escape is to Tanalor. So yeah, I think Grease is about seeing his money. I think he's going to be a goner. Yeah, I don't think there'll be another one after this, potentially. And again, I think we will see Cal in live action in Dave Filoni's film as well, perhaps.
Yeah.
I think it's lined it up nicely. What about you? What do you reckon, Jimmy? What do you reckon the predictions are?
Yeah, I have a feeling that they're going to. I really don't want it to happen. I love Greasy Money, and I love Marin. You already lost Seer. You lost, and you didn't know, about Cordova until that game, but you felt like you had another person there, another master for him to learn from. But yeah, I can see that happening, something happening to that child, something happening to Marin. And I think maybe there's some tie-ins with the Hidden Path. They built that up in Kenobi. I'm assuming it's the same connections, the same path. Maybe Roken shows up. Was it Roken? That's his name, right?
Yeah.
Roken from, maybe he shows up and you start working for them. But yeah, they're going to have to do something, and then it's going to have to end, right? I mean, Cal has to go away, so a big sacrifice or something. But I think the dark side thing would be interesting.
Yeah, I think that'd be
But
good.
it being a canon event, I don't know how far you'll go down that path. Maybe you get redeemed halfway through or something. But yeah, I don't know. I've been trying to think about where they're going to take the story. And I'm assuming
can't see it going any further than Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back.
No. I mean, what if they get stuck in Tanalorr? Like, what your final jump that goes there, you fight a bad guy, and that bad guy destroys your one way out.
Yeah.
And then you got, maybe Tanalorr is where the Purgles took Ezra,
I literally just thought that then.
So.
Could you imagine that in Ahsoka? If Ezra turns up, he's like, I've got someone you want to meet, and it's Cal. Bosh.
Oh, my good Lord. That'd be nuts. Because, I mean, they did have some of those droids that she was fighting in the preview so far, in the trailers. Some of those droids you fight, similar looking droids. So it would be pretty cool.
We could be onto something here, Jimmy. We could be onto something.
Yeah, maybe. But I think, I'm excited. I like to just give what they give, take what they give me. You set yourself up for some failure sometimes, I think. Because, I mean, I was really convinced that you'd get to be Marin for a little bit in this game. Just whatever. I mean, you get to play as Seer, which is pretty cool. But I think some dark side stuff. Yeah, she was nuts.
She was
nuts.
Good.
It just shows you at you're running around with Cal and he's strong and doing stuff, but Seer's like next level master. I mean, she's a master. He's a Jedi Knight. And it shows you the difference between those levels of being a Jedi. So that's something subtle. You sit there and you're playing it and you're just laying waste to stuff and you're like, oh, okay. There's definitely a difference in ability levels here. So Cal starts out as a master, whatever. I think, if they take away his support staff, they get rid of Grease and they get rid of Marin and that kid, possibly he is tempted, or, I don't know how it will work, but it would be an interesting. I do think that they'll pump the brakes a little bit on turning him bad or anything like that permanently, just because, just because it is Disney and it is a canon game. So I'm excited. I hope it doesn't take, was it 5 years since the first one came out or something? I can't remember.
2018.
Something like that.
Yeah.
18 or 19. Yeah. So, but I'm looking forward to that. I hope it's a long game. I hope it's the finale that they want, and they end it. I think it needs to be done, right? Cal's character they need to have an ending to it. If it ties into something else, all really cool, but it needs to be, because I mean, I know I said spoilers, so like Bodhi or Bode or whatever. I mean, you're starting to get to a point now where, like, when you're a kid and you're watching you're watching New Hope, Luke Skywalker's the only Jedi that you know of, right? You think that he's the only one. And I like stories and I like it growing, and it makes sense that people would slip through the cracks, but every time it's convenient, it's a Jedi that slipped through the cracks. Like, the Inquisitors suck, apparently. Missing everybody. So, but yeah, I'm curious. I'm excited for the next game, and hopefully, that Outlaws game will carry us over until that next game comes out. That'll be sweet. So,
awesome. Yeah. So, well, that's it for today, guys and girls. We've enjoyed the show. A little bit about Jedi Survivor. Cool. Well, I hope you've enjoyed episode 10 then. Again, thank you to all the listeners and explorers for all your comments, all your feedback. Please, please, please keep it coming on all the socials. You'll find us on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're now on TikTok that none of us have any idea how to use. Again,
No.
Explore the Force. Again, any voice notes or emails, send them again to exploretheforce@gmail.com. So, from Taylor
For light and life.
and myself, save the rebellion, save the dream.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Nice.
Jimmy,
And for all of us, we have spoken. Have a
See you
great week,
next week.
everyone.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.